Welcome back. You watch Your Morning Live. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the late Peter Clarke Sandy Bay painting will be up for auction in Cape Town on the 18th and 19th of October. It is said that the picture has never been viewed or exhibited by the general public before. So from the 8th to the 16th of October, art lovers will have a chance to have a peek at the artwork. Gary Shean is the head painting specialist at Stephan Welz Co. and is joining us from our Sea Point studios to chat more about this painting. Gary, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Maybe briefly explain to a lot of us who don't know who the late Peter Clarke was, just maybe briefly about his history and who he is, or was.
Good morning to you. Peter Clarke was a Cape Town-based poet, printmaker, and artist. He was much loved Cape Townian artist and has exhibited both internationally in London and obviously in South Africa at the National Gallery. He passed away, unfortunately, in 2014 and was a very special person. I was honored to know him and work with him quite closely for the last 5 to 6 years of his life, and it was an absolute joy.
Talk to me about that relationship very quickly between you and Gary. I mean, just between you and Peter, and kind of what you were able to learn from him in that short period of time.
Well, what we learned from Peter was, the spirit of community and himself as a person. He was forcefully removed from his home in the Waterfall Flats in Simonstown with the Group Areas Act and then moved to Ocean View. I was saying to a couple of people towards the end of his life, he was doing rather well, yet he still stayed in the Ocean View community and never wanted to be more than anybody else. He was just a special person and a wonderful gentleman.
So let's talk about this gift that he had, because on display for the very first time will be the Sandy Bay painting. When was it painted and what makes it so special?
The painting was done in 1969. It is one of a very few works which is of a special medium. It's oil and sand on board. The other work, which is similar in size and similar in medium, is Listening to Distant Thunder, which appears on the cover of the reference book done by Philippa Hobbs and Elizabeth Rankin. That work belongs to the Johannesburg National Gallery, and this work is as good as that work and is available on the open market and to see and purchase for some lucky person for the first time. The work was done, as I said, in 1969 and gifted to a friend of the artist's in the early 70s as a wedding gift. The work has not been seen by the public. It's never been on show. It's never been exhibited. And it's a rare work. It's iconic work by the artist.
Yeah, that maybe leads to my next question, the significance of this painting. And at the time, what did it represent?
Well, as you can see in the image, it's a number of people at the Cape Town's famous nudist beach, Sandy Bay, during a time when a certain demographic was not allowed to be there. Yet, knowing Peter as well as I did, this was him and friends going down and saying, well, no one's going to stop me really, and enjoying themselves. I'd spoken to his brother, Mr. Richard Clarke, and he elaborated on the work, saying that during those awful years, they would go down to and do what they wanted to do. They would drink and they would, be open and do what they needed to do no matter what. And this work is important from that perspective. And it's not really about the rand value. It's about what the painting depicts and tells us what used to happen in those awful days.
And why is it now the right time to put it up to auction?
Well, Peter Clarke has done very well at auctions in the last sort of 5 to 6 years. A number of years ago, you would pay maybe 40,000, 50,000 for an oil. Today, we're offering this work at 900,000 to 1.5 million rand. Last year, we sold the work on paper for nearly 800,000 rand. And as important as the rand value of these works is the importance, is the subject matter and the meaning of these works.
Gary, why is it that, I feel like you're educating me this morning, and a lot of our viewers this morning would have heard Peter Clarke for the first time. Why are we not celebrating these artists more when they are alive?
Well, during Peter's lifetime, he did have an exhibition at the National Gallery. It was called Listen to Distant Thunder. He also had the same exhibition in London. He was a very well-known international artist and has sold at major auction houses and shows all over the world. And, we did celebrate Peter on many occasions. And it's such a pity he's not around anymore to continue doing that.
You talked about some of his works and the prices escalated. What are you expecting on auction day? I know it's very difficult to put a number down, but you've said that the value the value of his work has increased over the last 6 years. What are you expecting at auction time?
Well, basically, about 2.5 years ago, we sold a small oil, which was about a quarter the size of this particular work called Ruined Houses, Simonstown. And that fetched over 550,000 Rand for the first time. We set a world record for the artist on that work. We then sold a work 2 years ago, which was a gouache on paper, for then a world record of 650,000 Rand. And then a year later, being last year, we sold one for 800,000 Rand. It's impossible to say what it will sell for. I've put an estimate of 900 to 1.5 million Rand. It's a large amount of money, this we understand, but it is by no means the most money paid for Peter Clarke. Privately, works have sold for in excess of 1.5 million Rand. So although it seems a lot and it would be the highest price paid at auction, it most definitely is not the highest price paid for the artist's works privately.
1.5 million. I'm sure Lebo and I can work very hard for the next 15 years and scrap a lot of money together. I'm sure we'll be able to afford just the entry ticket to this exhibition. Talk to me, give some more details very quickly. On the 8th to the 16th, it'll be open to the public?
Well, basically, we're located at the Elephant in Constantia. We have what we refer to as a general viewing. So we're open to the public to come and see not only this work, but there's other works by Peter Clarke. There's some vehicles, there's some ceramics and silverware and jewelry. So there's a whole host of items which can be viewed between now and next Sunday, the 16th, with the actual auction taking place on the 18th and 19th of October.
Gary, I wish you lots of luck, but you won't see me and Lebo at that auction. We can't afford to be there. Okay, cool. That's Gary Shean. He's the head painting specialist at Stephan Welz Co, talking to us about the Peter Clarke Sandy Bay painting auction that is set to take place on the 18th and the 19th of October in the Mother City.